Hey guys, welcome back to the Tearing It Up podcast. This is episode 2. Welcome to episode 2. Oh my gosh, happy Monday. It's Monday morning. By the time this comes out, it should be Wednesday. So happy Wednesday. I'm actually recording this episode 2 days before the podcast launches. So I'm literally recording it, going to go home, edit it, and get this thing uploaded immediately because, I already had recorded this episode twice, actually. The first time I tried to record it a few months ago, I sat down, started speaking into the microphone, and I was like, I can't do this. And I got up and left. The second time I tried to record it, I recorded the full episode, listened to it back, and I was like, ooh, I hate that. I hate that. One thing I'm learning as I've started this podcast is like, one, I'm being way too self-critical on myself, but two, like, it is not easy to sit down and listen to yourself talk for 1 hour. Like, when you hear a recording of yourself and you're like, yeah, that's kind of the vibe, except it's like extremely long form. So I've been a little too self-critical. I did not love the first full episode that I recorded of this. I also was in my peak ADHD medication when I recorded it. So I just feel like I was talking really fast. I was a little bit like jittery and stumbling over my words. Not how I want to be. No. Hence why I've completely gone off of that medication, which we will talk about at some point on this podcast. So we are re-recording for a third time. And if there is one thing I have learned from starting this podcast, it's just that I thought like I was going to walk in here, sit down, start yapping, and this was going to be like the easiest thing ever. Like, oh my God, yeah, like having a podcast, that sounds so fun, so easy. Like I just can yap. And while it isn't hard necessarily, I would say what makes it hard is just like, I sat down and all of a sudden I had like these studio lights on me and cameras and a microphone. And all of a sudden I just sat here and I was like I got nothing's going on up here. I don't know what to say. I started stumbling. I started tweaking. Like I just didn't feel like myself I don't even know. I've tried to record the first few episodes a handful of times at this point. And I'm just realizing that good things take time. Exposure therapy works. And I'm just going to keep pushing myself to do this and do this and do this until I do feel more comfortable with it, until I get to a place where I'm like, okay, hell yeah, I can do this. Because you shouldn't sit down and be able to record a podcast and have the first episode just be perfect and amazing and up to par the first time you do it. But if you do, props to you, but couldn't be me. Good things take time, push yourself. And what is another inspirational quote I can say here? I don't fucking know, but moral of the story is it's probably not going to be great the first go around, but you'll get there eventually. Anywho, now, episode 2, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1. If you didn't listen to episode 1, you should. It's a big kind of career update. It goes into my career history. I talk all about kind of what I'm doing with my life now, which were a lot of the questions that I got in this Q&A. So go listen to episode 1 if you're interested in any of that stuff. But today we are tearing up, wink, wink, because get it, it's the Tearing It Up podcast. We are tearing up a Q&A, a question and answer, and Ask Me Anything. I went on my Instagram story and asked you guys to ask me anything, and I said it was for a YouTube video. It wasn't. I lied. It's actually for the podcast. I just hadn't announced the podcast yet, so I said it was for YouTube. So we are going to dive in and answer a bunch of the questions that y'all asked me. I have a matcha from Civil Goat. Yummy. First question is, how did I get into social media / get started with social media? Great question. So, I will say I've always been very into social media. Like I was a Tumblr girl. I was super into Tumblr. I feel like that kind of kickstarted my like obsession with like creators and social media and like following people. It all started back in the day with Tumblr. I had so many different Tumblr usernames, but I remember one of them was Queen Bitch. Like what was the fuck? I don't even know. I was in middle school. So, but I loved Tumblr. I loved reblogging like really emo posts on Tumblr. So I've always really loved social media. I remember in high school, like I loved following like influencers at the time. I loved following influencers in college. I remember really wanting to do social media in college, but like I was in college and I was in a sorority and I was like, oh my God, that's like so embarrassing if I'm like the girl within my friend group and in my sorority that like starts trying to be an influencer. Like I remember I thought it was so embarrassing because like I was in such a kind of close-knit town in college that I was like, what will these people think of me? But I actually did have one really random partnership in college. It was with Cheba Hut, which is like this toasted sandwich shop in the town I went to college in, which is Eugene, Oregon. I went to the University of Oregon. Cheba Hut gave me, this was actually my first brand partnership. So it was the first. Cheba Hut gave me a $50 gift card once a month to post on my Instagram, like in feed on my Instagram in one of their like Cheba Hut t-shirts. I loved Cheba Hut. Okay. These sandwiches, these toasted subs are elite. There's actually a Cheba Hut in Austin. It's near campus. Go. It's so good. And the whole sandwich shop vibe is like, it's like weed themed. So the sandwiches are called like a blunt, a doobie or whatever. I don't even know. But, so my first partnership was with Cheba Hut, $50 gift card. I would post on my Instagram and feed, and then I would take like my roommates and we would go get Cheba Hut. So moral of the story is like in college, I definitely wanted to do social media, but I was definitely too scared. And then I lived at home after college for a bit and I kind of tried to do it. Like I would post little videos in COVID, like doing my makeup and like doing trends. And a few of them like went really viral and I gained like a few followers, but I never really like started doing it consistently. I would just like post once a month or whatever. And then I told myself like, okay, when I get to Austin, I'm going to start doing social media because I'm going to be out of my parents' house, which I always made this excuse that like my parents' house had really bad lighting. So I was like, I can't like film in here. Like once I get into my like new apartment, I'll start doing social media. But then I got to Austin and of course I still was like, too scared to do it at the time. I was like, I don't know. I just moved here. What will people think of me? Like, that's so weird. Oh my God. And so I was overthinking it majorly, put it off again and was like, someday I'll do it. Someday I'll do it. And I was also extremely, extremely busy at that time with like my first corporate job. And then like I went to another job and my life was really hectic at the time. So I really didn't dedicate hardly any time to social media, but I knew in the back of my head, like it was always this itch that needed to be scratched. That was like, I know I want to do it. Until finally, after about a year and a half in Austin, at this point I had met Rafa. We were kind of starting to see each other. And I was kind of posting a little bit more here and there. And he pushed me into doing a half marathon because he was going to train for the full marathon. And at this time, you know, we just started dating. Like I wanted to impress him. Like I said, like, oh yeah, I love running when we first met. Like, girl, you'd never run more than a mile and a half. Shut the fuck up. You did not love running. But he was into running. So I was like, oh yeah, you know, I can train for a half marathon. Like, bitch, literally I could not run 2 miles at the time, which I do need to do a whole episode on like that experience because I'm not someone that makes my whole fucking personality that I ran a half marathon because everyone knows those people are kind of insufferable, or like the people that make running marathons their entire personality. Definitely not me. I literally ran one. It's not that fucking cool. But what I do think is cool is that I actually could not run 2 consecutive miles before I started training. And then I did actually end up running it, the 13 miles. Anyways, so I was like, you know, I'm going to impress this guy that I just started seeing and I'm going to start training for the half marathon. And I started training. And as I was training, I made a few little videos of like, come train with me here. And I'm training in Austin and running the marathon, whatever, half marathon. And they started to do kind of well. Like I got some decent engagement on these videos. So I started kind of posting more about my workouts and like what I would do in a week of workouts and how I was training and things like that. So as I was posting this like training content, I also was like, you know what, I'm going to start sharing about my job and my life and my 9 to 5 and kind of like what I do in a day and what I do on the weekends. And I so slowly just started posting about Austin. I would post about like Austin food recommendations, very kind of generic things, nothing too crazy. It was just like 9 to 5 vlogs, day in my life. And that's kind of how I got started. It was all just kind of posting my training and then posting about my everyday life in Austin and the job that I was going to. And I slowly started integrating like Rafa and my relationship and my cats and beauty. And I kind of just eventually, as like, I got comfortable with like posting the training content. Then I got comfortable with posting like my vlog content. And then I got more comfortable with posting like hair content. And slowly it was kind of like the podcast. Like I just had to keep doing it over and over again and hold myself to be consistent and stay accountable. And slowly it just got easier and easier and easier. And I felt more comfortable sharing more and more and more, which kind of led us to here. It all just kind of grew. And the more I did it, the easier it got. And that's kind of my advice to anyone who wants to do social media is like, you might post 3 or 4 videos and be like, oh God, like that, I don't know if this is for me. And they're not, maybe not performing well. And like, that felt so weird. That's how it was for me in the beginning as well. You just have to keep doing it. And if you're like, oh, I'm so awkward on camera. Oh, I'm so awkward when I try to make content. I was so fucking awkward too when I first started trying to do it. You just have to keep doing it. Just like how I've felt a little bit awkward when I've been recording this podcast. I know I just have to keep doing it. And someday I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be like, piece of cake. Okay. That day's not here yet, but it'll be here someday. That's kind of how I got into social media. And that was really just TikTok. I never was comfortable posting on Instagram at all. Like that was like, oh my God, I couldn't even fathom like reposting one of my TikToks to Instagram because Instagram just felt so personal to me. Like everybody's looking at you. It's high school, it's college, people from home, like my family, my boyfriend's family, like, oh my God, the thought of posting on Instagram actually made my skin crawl. outside of like just posting really curated pictures and stuff. Like I remember I would post like a picture of my breakfast on my story and be like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing, and like delete it. Like what? So that was probably one of the hardest things for me when I started doing social media, because I realized once I signed to an agency and had a manager, they were like, girl, you got to do Instagram too. Like you can't just do TikTok. Like you got to start leveraging Instagram. So I was like, ooh, pedal to the metal. I'm going to start doing this. And I basically just told my Instagram following on my story one day. I was like, look guys, I know already some of you follow me on TikTok. I'm going to start reposting all my stuff. I'm going to start treating my Instagram the way I treat my TikTok. And if you don't like that, please unfollow me and fuck off. And if you do like that, cool, stick around. And then I just decided one day, I was like, out of sight, out of mind. I'm going for it. Like, fuck it. And I just started posting on Instagram. But I'm not going to lie, sometimes I still do sometimes get uncomfortable posting some of the things I post on TikTok on Instagram. I don't know why. It's a psychological thing. I don't understand it. I still need to get over it and work on it. But yeah, I don't know. I think everybody knows like Instagram feels so much weirdly more personal than TikTok does for some weird reason, when in reality, it's the same people watching your TikToks that are watching you on Instagram. So who the fuck cares? So I just have to remind myself that. But what age do you want to get married? So I am 25, and something I find interesting is back home where I'm from, I have like one engaged friend, but not a lot of people are necessarily getting married, like from people that I know from home, people that I know from college. And when I moved to Austin, I thought it was interesting because a lot more people that I've met here are married, and like, but like at my age, you know what I mean? So I have like two of my really close friends. They're both married. They've been married. I have a really close friend who just got married, and we're all the same age, which I find is really interesting because I don't see that as much like back home. It seems that a lot of people get married younger here than they do there. I don't know if it's because this is the South or what it is. So at first, when I met these friends and started kind of having this friend group of people that are married or engaged, at first I was kind of like, oh my God, do I need to be thinking about like getting married or engaged? Like I'm only 2 years into my relationship. And for a second there, like it was in my head because I just saw all these people getting married and engaged that I had met here, or they were already married. And for a second I was like, do I need to be doing this? Like, what's going on here? Why is there, what the fuck? Something interesting about, I guess, my childhood and how I was raised is that my mom and my parents, so my parents are still together, they're still married. My mom always said to me like, look, you can get married if you want, but like, if you don't want to, like, that's fine. Or like get married, you know, as late as you want. Like there's no pressure. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people have a situation where their parents are like, oh, we really want grandkids. Oh, we want you to get married. Oh, we want grandkids. I've never had that said to me ever. Like my parents have always been like, get married whenever you want. My mom's always said to me like, it is better to wait. Do it when you're ready. If you need to wait until you're 30 or 35, do it. Like wait until you're 100% ready to make that decision and then do it. Same goes for children. And so I guess my whole life, I never really like romanticized or fantasized or like dreamed of like this wedding and getting married. I've always obviously dreamed of meeting that person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. But the wedding and the marriage part to me, I mean, I'm excited for that, but like it's not something that I'm like, oh my God, I really want it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like, I don't know. It's just not something I care that much about. In fact, someday, if and when I do get married, I would love to do a very, very small, intimate wedding. That would be personally my dream. So with that is, I just don't know when I would want to get married. Not anytime soon. I would be so happy getting married in my early 30s, at 28, 30, 31, 32. I really don't care. I mean, my mom had me when she was in her early 40s. So I'm like in no rush to have children. I don't know. I think for me, I'm happy with waiting and making that decision when I feel 100% confident in it. And yeah, I mean, obviously I would absolutely love to marry my boyfriend. We talk about it sometimes, but at the same time, I'm in no rush, you know? Like, I love dating. I think it's so fun. I think it's fun, like getting the butterflies to see my boyfriend. And I think there's such a fun part of just like being boyfriend and girlfriend and dating that I just want to like enjoy that time of my life in my 20s, savor it. And then like realistically, I do have my whole entire life to be married. So we'll enjoy that when the time comes. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Honestly, not for a while is the answer. Is not for a while. Or I could see myself like getting engaged in a few years maybe and having like a long engagement. I don't think about it too much, to be honest. Am I still working my 9-to-5/career update? If you want to know the answer to this question, go listen to the first episode. What do I miss about living in Oregon, and would I ever move back, and would Rafa move back with me? Oh man, there's so many things I miss about living in Oregon. Nothing I miss enough to make me leave Austin. I would say the number one thing I miss is the nature, of course. Like Oregon is a beautiful state. You have every single climate. You have the desert, you have the mountains, you have the forest, you have the ocean. And I loved that like when it was the summer and it was the weekend and it's like, oh, what do we do this weekend? It was like, oh, let's go to the lake. Let's go to the mountain. Let's go hike here. Let's go to the beach. Like there's so many options you can do in nature. I love being my little true granola self. I love shape shifting into my granola self. I love hiking. I love being in nature. I love camping. So I love that there was all those things to do constantly. Well, except for when the weather is shit, which actually is like 8 months out of the year. So more so just in the summer. Whereas here, I don't feel like we have those options. I mean, there is some nature in Austin, but it's definitely nothing like there is in Oregon. So that's probably the number one thing I miss. The number one thing I miss is my family. Obviously, I miss them every single day. Mom, dad, if you're listening to this, I miss you guys. I miss my childhood home. My parents still live in my childhood home. They built it 33 years ago, I want to say, or 32 years ago. We've lived there ever since. That home is sacred to me. Like if my parents sell that house, I do not know how I will cope with that. It's like my entire life was built around this house. Like, you know, the song by Miranda Lambert, The House That Built Me, that is literally this house to me. The house literally built me. So it would be tragic, but I also know that someday they will have to sell it. Also has a good amount of stairs and stuff, which as people get older, having a bunch of stairs is not a good idea. So I know they're going to have to sell it at some point, and that will actually be the worst day of my life. It won't be the worst day of my life, but it'll be one of the worst days of my life. I don't know how I will cope with that. That house means so freaking much to me. I don't know, guys. I think that's about it. I literally think I miss the air. Okay. I miss the no humidity, the crisp air. That is like premium air. If you've ever been to Oregon or the Pacific Northwest or Washington, guys, the air up there, it's like what's like a really good water? It's like the Fiji water version of air. Nothing hits like it, truly. Would Rafa ever move back with me? And would I ever move back? Yes. I can't say I would move back permanently. Like, okay, I'm going to move back for the rest of my life. I would definitely move back for a portion of my life, especially as my parents get older. I would love to live in Bend. I think Bend is the cutest little town. If you've never heard of Bend, it's like a little mountain town, but it's like high desert. So you have like the desert, but you also have mountains. You can snowboard. I snowboard. I've been snowboarding since I was a kid. So if I lived in Bend, I would just snowboard every single day. There's a ton of hiking. There's cute little restaurants. It's very cute. It's quaint. I already have some good friends from home that live there. So there would already be a little community there for me. So I could totally see myself moving back to Bend, maybe in a few years. I don't know. It's really hard for me to think of leaving Austin, but I know at some point I probably will have to go back realistically. And would Rafa move back with me? Yes, we've already had this conversation. I've told him there's a pretty good chance we might have to go back at some point and live there for a while. He's down. He's in for it, which I really appreciate, because that can be a big sacrifice to move to somewhere, that like, no one, you don't have family there. I can imagine that could be scary and seem like it's going to be isolating. But Rafa's like, of course I will do that for you. And he's down and he's like, let's do it. So I really appreciate that. And another reason that I know that I'm right with the right partner, because he will make those sacrifices for me and he's down. So, okay. I got a couple questions about like how I stay fit / like workout routine stuff. Now, this is an interesting question because my answer to this isn't, I don't really work out anymore to like make my body look a certain way. Like I used to work out with the sole purpose of like wanting to change my body, wanting to like lose weight, whatever, get abs, this and that. I feel like now the sole reason that I work out is to stay mentally stable. And having ADHD, working out, especially in the morning, it helps me so much throughout the day, like focus and be productive. If I don't work out or at least go on a walk or move my body in some way, it is so hard for my brain to like get the wheels churning and start working properly. Not that it ever really fully works properly, but I mainly work out now for my mental health. So I'm not on like a strict routine that like I do my back and then my abs and then my thighs or legs. Like I don't do any sort of routine like that. Another thing that comes with ADHD is that I cannot do the same workout every single day for the life of me. Like it will drive me insane. So I have to change it up very regularly or I like will just stop. And there's been times where I've like tried to go to a gym and like lift and do workouts and I get so incredibly bored that I always give up. Like I've given up on so many different workout routines. You guys don't even know the amount of gyms that I've signed up for and then like given up. is crazy. But the routine that I've kind of found for myself that I think works really well for me now is I have ClassPass. If you don't have ClassPass, I highly suggest looking into it. ClassPass is amazing. It's essentially just this app that has a ton of different workout classes that you can go to. You sign up for a membership. I think I have like the 60 credit plan or 80 credit plan, and you can book a workout class. So let's say like a yoga class is 7 credits. So like you can book it all right there in the app. This is not sponsored by ClassPass, by the way. I wish it was though. Hey, ClassPass, hit me up. No, I'm just kidding. And so I have ClassPass. So I typically, my workout routine typically looks something like this. I like to do barries twice a week, although it fucking robs me of my ClassPass credits. However, I really like that workout because you go from like treadmill to weights, and constantly switching also really helps my ADHD because it goes by really fast so I don't get bored. Your girl gets bored easily. So I love to do barries like once or twice a week. I can't really afford to do it more than that because my ClassPass membership does not let me afford to do it more than that. I love to do a Pilates class once or twice a week. And then I love to do a Studio 3, which is here in Austin. I'll typically do like their little weights classes, or they have like interval classes. And then I also do yoga. And I do all of these things through ClassPass. So it's not like I have like 40 different memberships to these gyms. I go to all these classes through my ClassPass membership. And yeah, so I usually like to do yoga once or twice a week. I can't really do it more than that because you get so fucking sweaty in the hot yoga class that it requires me washing my hair. And I try not to wash my hair more than like twice a week. And then I'll typically do it like Pilates once or twice a week. And then I'll do either like a barries or a weights class once or twice a week. And then I'll also, like the days that I'm just feeling lazy and bored and like I don't feel like getting up and going to workout class, I'll just walk. I'll go walk like 3 miles and I'll call it good. There's a lot of days that I wake up and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to go. And those days I'm like, it's okay if you don't go, just walk. Because again, I'm not like working out to like make myself look a certain way and like, oh, I need to stay consistent to like lose this weight or do this. I'm literally working out just so that I feel mentally sane. So even if I just walk that day, that makes me feel better about myself and I go about my day and I feel better. So that's kind of what the routine looks like. Sometimes I'll go on a run, not really in the summer because it's a bajillion degrees. And when I run, I feel like I'm going to die and pass out and like fall into Town Lake because I run around Town Lake and it's pretty brutal doing it in the summer unless you run at like 6 a.m, which will never be me. I don't think so. That's kind of the workout routine. And then in terms of fitness, when it comes to like eating and stuff like that, I'm also not strict with my diet. I try to eat healthy during the week. I try to make reasonably healthy meals that are protein, a carb, and a veggie. I try to eat a protein-filled breakfast. I prioritize protein probably more than anything in my diet, and then fiber and stuff like that. But for the most part, I try to eat a fairly high protein diet. I drink a lot of protein shakes. I drink a lot of smoothies. I eat protein yogurts, but I still eat like carbs and I eat dessert every single night. Like I'm not like strict, you know what I mean? Like I try to be healthy, but I'm also not strict. Like if a bitch wants fucking dessert, she's going to get dessert. I'm going to give myself a fucking sweet treat. Okay. Which I typically do have a sweet treat every night. Speaking of sweet treats, my favorites recently have probably been these like drum roll donuts. They're so good. And they're like 4 grams of sugar, crazy. These like low sugar chocolate peanut butter cups. I think the brand's called like Choco. I love these little like mini Perfect bars covered in chocolate. That like gives me the perfect little hit at night of like sweet chocolate. Sweet Loren's. Okay, they're like dairy and gluten-free, I think, cookies, which sounds disgusting. I don't fuck around with the dairy and gluten-free shit usually because it never tastes good. Sweet Loren's are actually really good. I just baked those cookies in the oven. What else? Oh, sour strips. Oh my God. Sour strips, sour candy. That's been another one of my favorite sweet treats recently. Life is too fucking short to not eat a sweet treat. So if you're resisting sweet treats, I say just have one. It's okay. You know, I don't know. On the weekends, I let myself eat whatever I want for the most part. If I want pizza, I'm eating pizza. If I want a breakfast, like, you know what I mean? I don't have restrictions. I'm like on the weekends, I'm living my best life. I'm eating whatever the fuck I want. So on the weekends, yeah, it's like whatever goes. I drink, I'll have a frozen marg, I'll have tacos, whatever. I'm not strict at all on the weekends, but during the week I do try to eat fairly balanced. But like if someone asks me to go to dinner, I'm going to do it and I'm going to eat the truffle fries. Like it's not that big of a deal. So I would say that's kind of what it looks like for me. If I am too strict with myself in anything, whether it's eating or workout or whatever, I will not do it and I will start to resent it and I'll start to throw everything away and I won't do it. So I have to be very flexible and lenient with myself and give myself grace or else it's just not going to work for me. What's a quality you value most in a friend? A quality I value most in a friend truly is someone that can just be real with me. Like I just love when a friend can just be straight up with you, no bullshit. Like, you know, those friends that just agree with everything you say and you'll be like, oh, I think that, you know, I should do this. And they're like, yeah, I agree. No, I love when a friend can be like, I don't think you should do that. I love when someone can disagree with me. Please disagree with me. Like, I want to see a different perspective. I want to hear a different perspective. I want you to give your honest opinion. Like, I don't know, if I send you a podcast episode and I'm like, what did you think of this? Give me some constructive feedback. Tell me your honest opinion. Give it to me straight. You know, that is a value. Like, if a friend can do that to me, friend, relationship, whatever, can just be honest with me and actually give me criticism and disagree with me. I love that. I love that shit. I love, like, there's nothing interesting to me about sitting at a dinner with a friend and they're just agreeing constantly with everything that you're saying. You know, maybe because it's easier, maybe because, I don't know. But when like someone can actively disagree with you in a nice way and be like, actually, I don't know, I kind of think this. I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. This is interesting. This is the shit that I like. And that's something I value a lot in my relationship, is like Rafa's very open with like disagreeing with me or telling me his perspective, and we'll have conversations about it. Where in the past, like I've dated people that it's just like, they want to just agree with every single thing that you say so that you'll like them. I don't think that works that way. It's funny because in Love Island, I think Rob in Love Island was saying like some girl, one of the Casa girls, he was like, she was just agreeing with literally everything I was saying. Like, it wasn't interesting. And that's so true, whether it's a friendship or a relationship. There's nothing interesting about a friendship where everything is just the same and you guys think exactly the same and they agree with everything that you say. Like, let's create some discourse here. I don't know. I like that. I like that quality a lot in a friend. Do you and Rafa live together? And if not, when do you think you will? We do not live together currently, but guys, we just signed a lease yesterday. Isn't that crazy? Oh my God. I like actually forgot that we did that yesterday. We signed a lease yesterday and we found a place in Austin in a location that I really like. It was the location that I really, really wanted. Originally, we really wanted to rent like a townhouse situation, something that like had a little bit more space than just like an apartment. However, looking into that, like the houses here to rent, especially in like the areas we liked, were just insanely expensive. Like I'd be like, oh, I like this one. And it'd be $11,000 a month. I was like, bro, what the fuck? So we decided against renting a house because they were just insane, at least in the areas that we were looking at. And also I think in the summer, prices in Austin are a lot more. So a lot of people move here in the summer. So we actually found like a little condo/apartment situation. That's a 2-bedroom. We initially really wanted a 3-bedroom because we wanted to have like our room and then like an office for me and an office for him /guest room. But again, finding 3 bedrooms, they're less common and of course more expensive. So we did settle on a 2-bedroom, but I think we're going to make it work space wise because we have like a nice big dining and living room area. But we signed, we're moving in together. Our lease starts in the beginning of September. We are going to Oregon though, to go to the beach and stuff with my family around that time. So we're probably going to move after that. So we'll probably move like early mid-September. But yeah, guys, I mean, we're going to move in together in literally a month. How crazy is that? Oh my God, I'm so excited. And I was a little bit nervous to move in together, especially after the last time that I lived with a man, with my ex-boyfriend, did not work out. And so I was nervous. I was like, I don't know, living with a man again, it does freak me out. We have talked about it so much and we've expectations set with each other so much on like what we expect and how we want this to go. And we've talked a lot about like our intentions with living together. We can do a whole episode on that together to tell you guys a little bit more about it, but we've really extensively talked about it. And I think we're in a really good place in our relationship to make this decision. And I think living with someone it's like such a big thing. I feel like it's such a big step in a relationship. And in my last one, I feel like I just jumped into it like, all right, yeah, let's just do it. Like I didn't really think about it. I was just like, okay, I'm down, just whatever, let's move in together. And looking back, like it is such a huge step in your relationship and you need to have these conversations beforehand of like what you expect from one another and how you want this to go, because otherwise it's just going to crash and burn. Hence my last relationship. No, just kidding. There was a lot of other factors that went into that relationship ending, but you know, I just think it's so important to have those conversations, and Rafa and I will have to make a full episode about how we went about having these conversations about moving in together and like what we expected from one another. And we think it's going to go really smoothly and I'm really excited, and living together should be fun and exciting. And you know, okay, what am I saying? Fucking, I don't know. It is funny though, because Rafa's going to become a full-time father to my 2 cats when we move in together. He has no idea what he's in for, like with the cat hair and the litter box and everything. I mean, he kind of does because he's at my apartment a lot, but I'm really excited to see him become a full-time cat father. Like it's no longer, oh yeah, my girlfriend has 2 cats. It's now, I have 2 cats. I have 2 cats, bitch. He is a father figure. I can't wait. We're about to be a whole complete family. What helped me learn the most on my Spanish journey? This is a good question because I actually just recently found an instructor and I'm going to start doing classes on Zoom, just like a few hours a week. Mainly to just like help me with like conjugations and like tenses and things like that I don't know. Because obviously I do know a good amount of words, but I don't actually know how to like put together sentences and like conjugate verbs and conjugate words, and you know what the fuck I mean? So I'm going to start doing that. That's a goal of mine this summer, is to actually start taking classes and learning. I obviously do like Duolingo. We do flashcards and stuff like that. But what has helped me learn the most, it's not Duolingo, it's not these flashcards, but it is being like immersed in Rafa's friends and his family and his like just his culture in general. And what I mean by that is like when I first met him, he has this huge group of friends who are pretty much all Hispanic. So immersing myself in this group and being like, they all speak English obviously, but being like the only sole English speaker, like I obviously don't speak Spanish. I just decided one day, I was like, I'm just going to listen to everything that they're saying. Like when we'd be at dinners and when we'd be hanging out, we went to concerts, like hang out with his friends all the time, hang out with his family, his sister, his sister's friends. Like we're always all together doing stuff. So one day I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to start listening and like seeing what I can pick up on and seeing what I can learn and seeing like what I can be like, I think they're talking about this and think that. So I started doing that a few months into the relationship. And now I really feel like when people are talking in Spanish, I can understand what they're saying. Like I know what they're talking about. However, I try to say it, I probably can't, but it taught me so much trying to listen in and figure out what they're speaking about. And then like knowing like, that means this and this means that. So I think the thing that honestly has taught me the most is just immersing myself and listening when they're speaking. And I think that's why so many people say like, if you want to learn a language, go live in the country. That's the easiest way to learn it, because you fully have to immerse yourself in that language, listen to it, hear it, respond to it every single day. So I think that's really helped me learn the most. And then of course, Rafa, every day we do like a word of the day in Spanish. I'm like, okay, what's today's word of the day? And he'll be like stomach, panza, you know? And we'll do like a word of the day. So every day I learn a new word, which is really fun. So we'll do those. And he obviously helps me a lot. But I think the number one thing that's helped me is just like immersing myself amongst people who speak Spanish and really trying to pick up on what they're saying. What CBD with like a little smidge of THC. I love popping one of these because they just chill me the fuck out. They calm me down. They just make me feel really zen and calm. Although sometimes if I take like 2, I can get a little bit of anxiety. Sometimes when I take garden gummies, like I'll be sitting on my couch and I'll be like, I want to delete all of my social media. Like I need to fall off the face of the earth. Like, or I'll like start thinking about like the content that I post and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, it's just the garden gummy talking. It's not real. I'll wake up the next morning. I'll be like, oh, I'm fine. They also just really help me sleep. Like my sleep has been so much better, so much deeper since I've started doing these little microdose gummies. Love to pop one of those, or I'll make a little garden mocktail. I love Nowadays and Pamos. Those are 2 like garden aperitif. I don't know, alcohol replacement situations that I really like. I'll mix it with like poppy and sparkling water. I'll have one of those to wind down. I love to like maybe go to a hot yoga class, grab like takeout on my way back, take a shower. I make a lot of vlogs doing this. So you may have seen these vlogs of me doing this, but I love to like hot yoga, grab takeout, take a steamy hot shower, put on a robe, eat that food in front of the TV, watch YouTube. If you look at my YouTube algorithm, I think you can tell so much about somebody from their YouTube algorithm. You really can. Mine is all like raccoons taste testing all of the best chips in the world. And then it like comes down to one, like the number 1 chip. Like I love watching this raccoon taste test different foods. I have a lot of raccoon videos in my recommended. Like I just love watching raccoons. Like raccoons are so cute. I love watching this guy who like goes out and feeds these raccoons all these hot dogs on his front porch. It's also like a lot of like 10 signs your cat considers you their mother videos. Like this is my YouTube algorithm. And I love watching. I'm like, I want to know the 10 signs. Like, does he consider me his mother? And you know what? I watched this one cat who was like in the army. Oh my God, that was a good one. Then you'll see like a random like Olivia Jade, Hailey Bieber. I obviously love Emma Chamberlain. That's like who I grew up watching, but she doesn't upload as much clearly at all anymore, or hardly ever. So that's not usually in there. But yeah, I'll watch like random ass. I love watching animal content. So typically I'll plop down, watch an animal video while I eat. Like I'll watch the fucking raccoon taste testing different chips. I think her favorite chip was Lay's barbecue, which is an interesting take, to be honest. Or maybe it was the garden salsa sun chip. I really can't remember, but I will let you guys know. I watched that one recently. And then after that, I'll put on a show. I'll put on a show. I really like shitty reality TV. Okay, obviously I watched all the Love Island episodes. Who hasn't? I feel like the entire fucking world is watching Love Island right now. I just watched DCC, Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders. Oh God, I was obsessed. I didn't know if I was gonna like that show. I love it. I cried at the end. I don't know, just like the sisterhood is so cute. And watching that show, I was like, damn, like these girls are fucking fit. Oh, it was crazy. I was like, they were saying like some of the girls that were trying out, they were like, yeah, like she's like needs to lose weight. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This girl is snatched. It was crazy. I was like, what? Oh my God. But anyways, I love that show. I love murder mystery. I love watching true crime. I'll watch something along those lines. Then I will pull my cat onto my chest and kiss him for like 30 minutes and we'll cuddle, and I'll have this like moment of realization when I'm a little bit high that like I have this living, breathing animal in my house that has fur and a nose and little toe beans, and I'll like have this moment where I'm like, oh my God, like how are you real? How are you just like living in my house with me? And I'll just like stare at him and like want to squeeze him, and like I'll literally like be like, I love you, and I'll actually like genuinely like tears will start forming in my eyes because I can't believe that I have this like these perfect little angel babies living in my apartment. I really can't. And also the reason I'm saying like my cat is because Whiskey, I have 2 cats, Cowboy and Whiskey. Whiskey doesn't cuddle me. He doesn't like it. Okay. He's just a hands-off guy. He loves to be pet. He loves to be brushed. He's a sweet, precious baby. He loves to purr, but he doesn't like to like cuddle and be on me. Whereas like Cowboy's like the biggest fucking slut. Like he wants to be on my chest, in my face, like cuddling me. So Cowboy and I cuddle a lot. Whereas Whiskey sits like 4 feet away. Like he's there. He wants to be there, but he doesn't want to be touched necessarily. Like he doesn't want to be on me. I'll give him some pets, but like he's mainly like an independent cat. There's cats that are independent and there's cats that aren't. Cowboy is not. Whiskey is. I wish he would cuddle me though. My dream is to have both of them on my chest, but unfortunately Whiskey's like, fuck no, I'm out. So I'll have like a 30-minute come to Jesus moment that I have like perfect, cute, precious little fur cutie patootie babies living in my apartment, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. So that'll take about 30 minutes of my time. And then sometimes I'll like edit content. Obviously I'll go on TikTok. I'll respond to comments. I'll respond to DMs. I'll do like admin work with social media stuff. And then you guys, I don't know, I do the skincare and I get in bed. I wish I had a more like intricate routine, like, and then I read 5 chapters of my book. And then I slap on 15 different face masks. And I do full body red light therapy. I don't. No. I will eat my sweet treat, brush my teeth, put on my skincare, slide myself into my amazing sheets, cat on my shoulder, other cat in his bed because he doesn't really sleep in the bed with me. And I will drift away into slumber time with my eye mask. I have to sleep with an eye mask. That's one thing I do have to do, is like I need an eye mask on. I went 2 decades of my life not sleeping with an eye mask. And then Rafa said, why don't you sleep with an eye mask? And I tried it and it's changed my life. I love sleeping with an eye mask. I have a weighted one. So it's like weight on my eyes. It hits so good. So that's really my wind down routine. Like it's nothing that special. Sometimes I do read if I have a good book, but right now I don't have a good book. So my therapist has told me to do this thing called mind wandering, where I'm not on my phone, but I just let my mind like wander. But she's like, but like try to control the anxious thoughts, which are like, how do you do that? How do you do that? Anyone know how to do that? But mind wandering is like where you just start thinking of, I mean, it's really just like daydreaming actually, but you just start thinking of something and you just like let your mind take you wherever you want it to go. But you try to like make it like non-anxious thoughts, like more like happy storytelling in your brain. So I have tried to do that some nights where I'm like mind wander. And I've fallen asleep a few times doing it. It's kind of like what you do in your head before falling asleep when you're just like thinking about random shit. But I really try to control not thinking about all the shit that I need to do and what I need to get done and blah, 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 and anxiety. Okay, that's my wind down routine. Yeah. Did I find a future sister-in-law? Yes, I did. Rafa's sister, her name is Annie. I love her to death. I feel so lucky to like be with someone whose sister, like I love and I see as a friend. Like I don't see her as like, my boyfriend's sister. Like she's one of my closest friends. I love her. I could go travel just alone with Annie for a week and it would be like, we're just friends. We hang out as friends. It's not like cause you know, sometimes with relationships, it's like, that's my boyfriend's brother or sister. And it's kind of more of like a, hi, how are you? Good. How's school? How's work? Type of relationship. It's not, we don't have that type of relationship at all. Like she's literally one of my closest friends. which I feel so lucky for. So of course I would love for her someday to be my sister-in-law, because we would actually be like sisters. She is like a sister to me. We've traveled together. Like Rafa and I have like an amazing friendship, just us three. Like when we were in Mexico City, it was literally us three for like multiple days, just hanging out the whole time. And it is so fun. But it's funny because Rafa gets so annoyed because Annie and I, we both like completely shut our brains off when we're with him, and we make him do everything. Like we make him figure out the Ubers and where we're going and what we're ordering. And like Annie and I just like shut off our brains, and we're like, Rafa, you take the lead. And he gets so annoyed because he's like, Taryn already does this when it's us two, but then we both do it together and it's like a double whammy. And we're both just like, Rafa, like just lead us around, figure it out. And he's like, can you guys help me? And yeah, so he does get a little annoyed at us. But yeah, I feel really lucky because Annie is actually the best. Rafa works with my older brother and they're friends. So like actually just last night we went and saw Twisters, and it was me, my brother, Rafa, and his sister. And it was just like this little sibling squad. We went to dinner and then we went to a movie, and I'm like, this is so fun. Like we're all friends. We all hang out. And that's something that's really cool. I don't know. I feel really lucky for that because my brother and Rafa are 1 year apart. So they have a lot in common. And then Annie and I are 1 year apart. That is actually so weird. Huh. Okay. Tips for making friends in Austin and how to choose good female friends. I love this question. However, I want to do a whole episode on this question. So I will do a whole episode soon. I actually want to do this episode with one of my good friends named Meg, who is the queen at making friends. She moved here from New York, didn't know anyone, and she's done such an insane job of like meeting people and making friends. So I do want to do that as a full episode. So I will come back to that question. Same with the question about post-grad advice. That will be a full episode. And then how to get started with running and beginning running tips. These are all things that, like I need to dive into on a deeper level than just like answering it in a quick question. So all those questions, I just want you guys to know I'm going to do full episodes on those things. Stay tuned. Go-to Taco Bell order. Okay. My go-to Taco Bell order is a cheesy Fiesta potato. If you've never had those, you need to get them. They're amazing. A Crunchwrap Supreme, no tomato. I just don't like the Taco Bell tomatoes. I think they taste like shit. No tomato, extra creamy jalapeno on the side. And then a chicken quesadilla, extra creamy jalapeno. If you do not like the creamy jalapeno, what are you doing? The creamy jalapeno is elite. And it is truly one of the best sauces I've ever tried. I hate when a bitch is like, the creamy jalapeno from Taco Bell's too spicy. It's not fucking spicy. It's not spicy. You're fine. It's not spicy. It is so good. Like I can understand when something's spicy, but the creamy jalapeno from Taco Bell is not spicy, and I will die on this hill. Dream trip, and would I ever go backpacking? I would love to go backpacking. I think that'd be so fun. Ruff and I have talked about doing something like that. We haven't, but I know we would love it. And I say that as I am someone that brings 7 cosmetic bags with me when I travel, but I know I could downsize and I know I could do it. And that's something I would for sure do. Dream trip, South Africa, for sure. I want to go to Cape Town so bad. I've heard such insane things about it. I would love to do like South Africa. I'd love to go to Madagascar. I'd love to go to like more Central Africa and do like some sort of safari situation. Africa in general, Morocco would be insane. That is definitely like my dream vacation would be to go all around Africa. I think that'd be really cool. I would also love to go to Japan. Like, you know, mainly like, I mean, so many reasons I'd like to go to Japan, but I want to go to a bathhouse so bad. I think it looks so cool, and I want to just eat all day long. Rafa's the biggest slut for raw fish. I've never met someone in my life that loves raw fish more than Rafa. Like he will just eat raw fish. He could eat raw fish for every single meal, especially raw salmon. We would be in heaven. What's going on? It like sounds like someone's breaking in here. Eating nigiris and sashimis and ramen. And so I would love to go to Japan. I mean, for the culture and for the gastronomy, of course. But I think number 1 would probably be Africa. Okay, I like this question. What is my ideal day in Austin? I actually feel like I had one of my ideal days in Austin recently. And it started out Saturday. Okay, it's usually a Saturday. Started out with my little run club. I do this little run club with Free People Movement once a month. And it's a little bit under 3 miles. It's at 8 a.m. We meet at the Free People Movement store. It's really fun. It's a bunch of girlies. There's also some guys there too. And everyone's allowed to come, but I think we don't typically get as many guys, but I wish we did get more guys. I'm like, also like men, like single men in Austin, which there's probably none of you listening to this, but if there are, come to the run. There are so many gorgeous single women there. Like talk about a place to meet a girl. It's the run, truly. And it is so much fucking fun. I get to meet a ton of you guys that have come out to run. There's a bunch of familiar faces of people that continuously come every single run. So like I've gotten to know a bunch of people personally, which is really cool. There's always new people. We do little raffles. Like we raffle off like free people stuff, and I make like little beauty gift bags of like PR and makeup and stuff that I raffle off afterwards. We always have like fun drinks. Like we have Cali Water, we have Saps, we have St. James, a few really cool drink sponsors that donate stuff for the run, which is really cool. We've had ice baths before. So that to me starts my perfect day in Austin. It's like we get some exercise in, we get to socialize, I get to see everyone. It's just like a really fun morning. Always the energy is so good. I would say after that, brunch, maybe like a Swedish Hill moment or a Better Half or Food Heads, a good brunch with a good latte and like a good big juicy breakfast sandwich. If you want a good breakfast sandwich, go to Brunch Baby. Oh my God, Brunch Baby is so fucking good. Good brunch. Then go home, change, head to Barton Springs. Of course, I know. That's what everyone does on Saturday in Austin, but like they do it for a reason. It's fun. Go to Barton Springs, but like with a big group. Like we went this last Saturday with like 4 other couples and a bunch of other people. And it's just like a big squad. We had a bunch of towels, like a whole little section to ourselves. Well, not really, but like we had a whole area that we kind of took over with a bunch of us. We just were like in and out of the water, tanning, talking, whatever. I just feel like it's a really wholesome activity and it's good bonding. It's like too hot to like be on your phone. You can't like have alcohol or bring food or anything. So like you're kind of forced to just like talk to each other and connect. And it's just like always a wholesome time when you go to Barton. Truly, it's always a wholesome time. Everyone's always in a good vibe. It's really fun to people watch. So I would say a Barton in the afternoon, go home, shower, go to a really good dinner. I'm thinking like, I love Este on the east side, like maybe get a little drink at Bartoti while you wait for your table. And then you go to Este, which is like really good Mexican seafood, kind of upscale Mexican food. That's one of my favorite restaurants. Go there, have some natural wines or an Aperol Spritz, get a little bit tipsy, and then go from there to like a concert. Truly, like a concert, maybe at like Moody Amphitheater or like Stubbs. Like go to a fun outdoor concert. Like, I don't know, I saw Glass Animals at Moody Amphitheater and it was so fun. It was one of my favorite days in Austin. Rafa loves going to concerts, so we've been to a lot of concerts together, specifically raves. He loves to take me to concourse. But like going to a concert with like a group of friends and then, you know, but calling it early, like not going to the concert too late, like being in bed before 1 a.m. That would probably be my perfect day in Austin, truly. If I'm going to drink, like I'm not interested in like going and drinking tequila sodas. I'm not interested in that at all. Like if I'm going to drink, it's because I want to enjoy the beverage. I want to like drink a good ass cocktail, and I can be fine with just having like 2 or 3. It did not used to be that way. I used to have like 10 in one night, but I can be fine with just like having 2 or 3 and having a night. But like, I don't like going and drinking tequila sodas. Like I want to enjoy the drink. I love a good margarita. I love a good martini. I love a good espresso martini. Like I drink to enjoy the beverage and the act of drinking less than like, I used to drink tequila sodas just to get drunk. Whereas now I'm like, I like to drink and get tipsy and have fun, but I care less about like getting wasted, honestly. I don't know. Maybe that's fucking maturing. Is my frontal lobe like developing? I guess I am 25. There are some nights where I'm like, you know what, fuck it. We're going balls to the walls. And on those nights, I like to just like literally sip like shots of mezcal or shots of tequila. I like to sip on tequila. That's something Rafa's put me onto, is like sipping on tequila with like lime juice or sangrita on the side, which is kind of like a spicy tomato juice situation. I love that shit. I love it. What does my mom think of Rafa? My mom loves Rafa. And I think it really, like that was really solidified on this last trip we went on, because he got to spend a lot of time with them because we went to Montana and we were like in a cabin together for days. And Rafa just put in so much effort with them. I think that's what differentiates him from like past relationships that I've had, is that it's not like transactional. It's not like, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Yeah, this is how work's going. Well, it's like he puts in so much effort to sit down, to talk with them, to get to know them. Like I can leave him in a room with my parents and my family and I can go like get ready for an hour and a half and I'm not worried about him at all. Like he's talking, he's getting to know them, he's sharing about himself. He's just really easy to be around. And I think my mom saw that right off the bat, which made her really like him. And she also just sees the way that he like cares for and takes care of me, which I also really value. Just like little things, you know what I mean? Like whether it's like traveling and things are chaotic, like he really tries to like help me through it because I can just be really ADD and like stressed out when we're traveling. But he really tries to like help me with my bags and handle everything and like figure out where we're going and what do we need and getting the car and opening the door and just like little things like that I think my mom observed, that he just like, he takes care of me. He looks out for me. He doesn't ever put me in situations that are like compromising or dangerous. Like he's always, yeah, it's just like, you can tell that he's just like looking out for me at all times. Or like when we drove to Montana, all like with the whole family, and that was like a 9-hour drive from where we live. Rafa offered to drive like half of the time. He drove like 5 of the hours and was like, no, just let me drive. Like you guys enjoy your time, in the car and talk with each other, and like I'll drive, which like he did not have to do. My dad easily could have probably driven that whole time, but like he knew like, oh, I'm gonna step up and drive so that they can spend more time together talking and stuff like that, and just like make their lives easier. And so I think those are things that like my mom picked up on immediately. That's like, wow, he's just like, he's very genuine and he's very caring, and he puts in a lot of effort, and he really like makes it shown that he loves me in front of them, which I think is really cool, because I think some people can be a little bit like weird to show their love for someone in front of parents, because it can be like, oh, is that weird? But like, Rafa will like give me the forehead kiss and a hug and like say I love you and stuff in front of my parents, which I really like, because then and they really like, because then they see like, oh wow, he really does love my daughter. My mom really likes Rafa, and I'm really happy she really likes Rafa, because it feels really good when your parents really like your partner. And when I told her that we were moving in together, she was like, oh my God, that's so exciting. I'm so happy for you guys. I think this is a great next step in your relationship. So big old green flag. Anything I don't like about living in Austin or wish that was different? Honestly, there's very few things I don't like about living here. For the most part, I really love Austin. I think the things I don't like are like the generic things that everyone doesn't like, which like there's nothing more annoying than a bitch that won't shut up about the things that everyone already doesn't like about Austin, like the weather and the traffic. Like we all know the traffic fucking sucks. Okay, it sucks. The weather is pretty bad. I mean, the weather's only bad in the summer. I really like it all the other times of the year. And this summer honestly hasn't been that bad, so I really haven't complained about it very much. I will say one thing I don't like is the drivers. And I'm not talking about the traffic. I'm talking about the drivers. People drive like maniacs here. It is chaotic. I'll be driving like 70 on the freeway, and people are passing and honking and cutting you off. Like in Oregon, people literally drive like 55 miles an hour on the highway, like at best. I swear, like people drive so slow there. Here, people are going so fast. They're honking, they're cutting you off, they're racing on like all the time. There's cars like racing each other. It is so scary. And people are just asshole drivers. They're asshole drivers. I don't like it. I avoid the freeway at all costs. I don't drive very much, because I do drive obviously when I'm alone, but when I'm with Rafa, I'm like, you are driving. I do not want to be behind the wheel, because it is scary driving here. If you're someone who has moved from another state to Austin, I feel like you must agree with this. Like maybe unless you're from like California or something, but I feel like traffic's so bad in California, you never even move. You can't even go fast. But that was a crazy adjustment for me here. Like when I'm driving, I'm like, please let me merge. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's something I don't like about it. And then the other thing is just that like you don't have access to nature in the way that I would love to, which is like mountains and hikes and lakes. Sure, we have lakes and stuff here, but it doesn't hit like a good Pacific Northwest lake. Let's be real. Okay. And there isn't a ton of just like things to do in nature, I would say. There's a decent amount. It's not like there's nothing, but definitely not compared to where I'm from. But that's just how the cookie crumbles, bitch. You decided to move to Texas. So I also don't like that every single road has a bajillion potholes, and my tires are fucked since living here. So I would say, yeah, but also like can't shit on the infrastructure when like a bajillion people moved here, me included, and like the roads now have potholes and there's horrible traffic, because that's what happens when a bunch of people move to a city that wasn't built to have this many people in it. So I'm not really going to sit here and complain about that shit. But for the most part, Austin, I literally love you. You've changed my life in so many ways, between just like the people, the environment, the vibes. I love Austin. There's not much to complain about, truly. Except for maybe scary lady. You know what I don't like about Austin? I don't like I don't like that people submerge their bodies in Lady Bird Lake. When I first moved here, my friends took me to the point where the paddle boards are and people like get into Lady Bird Lake. And I went in, I submerged my bottom half into Lady Bird Lake. Big mistake. Okay. I didn't realize how gross it was because I just moved here. But I will never get in that water again. I've known multiple people that have gotten out of that water to get a bad itchy rash. Ugh. That water is just gross to me. I think it's extremely polluted. It is gross. There's a lot of trash in it. It is just really gross. And I don't like that people put their bodies in it. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your body. Personally, and if you want to get in it, go for it. But personally, I don't want to get in that water. Okay. I don't like the idea. of swimming or paddleboarding or submerging into Lady Bird Lake. That water scares me. I feel like there's things with multiple heads that live inside of it. The Loch Ness Monster lives in there. Scary creatures live in there. Scary bacterias live in there. And that is something I don't like, is putting my body in that water. I'll go on it. I'll sit above it I'll sit above it on a boat or a whatever, canoe, I don't know. I don't want to put my body in it. Okay. That's something I don't like. I don't like what goes on in Lady Bird Lake, but I like walking around Lady Bird Lake. I like enjoying the lake. But yeah, that's probably what I would say. I don't know. I fucking love Austin, guys. Austin's the best. If you've never been here, you should come. It's amazing. Aside from, there's nothing else I don't like. No, there is something else I don't like. I don't like that we don't have like an accessible, nice beach. But I mean, I can't complain about that because I moved to Texas. You know what I mean? But I mean, I wish we had a beach. I know that there's beaches in Texas, but they look kind of brown and murky and not like a normal beach. So although I haven't been, so I don't know if they're nice or not, but I haven't heard the best things about the Texas beaches. But I do wish we had like a nice beach that we could drive to. But like, bitch, you moved to Texas. What did you expect? Okay. You don't have a beach. You have Lady Bird Lake. Get over it and shut up. All right. I've been yapping for an hour and I need to go home and edit this podcast so that I can get it uploaded within the next 48 hours so that you guys can listen to it. So I gotta go, but thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Tearing It Up podcast. These first 2 episodes are kind of straightforward. I literally just wanted to do a Q&A and a career update. We are going to get into a lot more on this podcast. We're going to tear some shit up for real. Thank you guys so much for listening to episode 2 of the Tearing It Up podcast. Can't wait to see you on episode 3, where we will be having a guest. His name starts with an R and ends with an A. I don't know if you'll know who that is, but maybe. And we're going to dive into all things our relationship and how we met. I'm so excited that this podcast is officially launched and out there. All right. Peace out. Toodaloo.